It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, we've got to play this audio cut before we go any further. I just discovered this here at a couple of minutes ago. Just impossible for me to edit out some of the cursing in it, but I did find a part, the best part of it, the main core of this audio cut, which is the best. And this is actually from the Joe Rogan podcast, where this week he had Matthew McConaughey on, and they were talking about the Ten Commandments. So I'll just give you a little bit of background on it to set this audio cut up. And so they were talking about, the Ten Commandments in schools and saying the problem with the Ten Commandments is, of course, because it comes from Christianity and it comes from God. If it was just, and then they're trying to figure out, well, maybe if you took some of the tenets for all the top religions and put it on, and they didn't really know where to go with that one. Then there's some cursing in there or whatever. And then Rogan tells his producer, put the Ten Commandments up. And they're looking at it going, well, these are really pretty good. Oh, yeah, that still that still holds today. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's good too. Yeah, oh, wow. Oh, yeah, that one holds up. And then they get to this point here, and it's just hilarious because they're in full agreement with the Ten Commandments. Yeah. And so here's the part of it where they are reading it at the end. Here we go. All right, here we go.
Principles.
You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image.
False
Don't
idol.
worship false idols. You shall not make the name of the Lord your God in vain.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor your father and mother. That's a solid one. You shall not murder. Great advice.
Okay.
You shall not commit adultery. Definitely don't do that.
Solid.
You shall not steal. Definitely don't do that. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor.
Ooh, lying,
don't lie.
gossiping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You shall not covet.
Yeah. Boy.
Those are all pretty solid.
Covet. We can use number 10 a lot right now.
Yeah.
Boy, we love comparison.
Well, that's Instagram,
and the younger
right?
generation
Yeah.
is full of covet.
We come from a long line of coveters.
I like that. Which is really jealousy and envy, is it not? You wish to have what other people have.
Yes.
I'm amazed that came out of his mouth.
Matthew McConaughey's?
Yeah.
Well, he probably has a lot of people feeding, with negative feedback on those Lincoln commercials he did.
Well, no, I'm saying it because a lot of times he'll be, in the past, he'll be pretty wishy-washy. Remember when he was going to run for, was it governor of Texas? I forgot what he was thinking of running.
Yeah.
I forgot what he was going to run for.
I think it was governor.
And it was just like, well, I'm trying to take, it was like,
Yeah.
you need to be in the no labels party.
Right.
But for him is a pretty blunt statement. Young people love to covet.
Yeah. Well,
by the way, I know a lot of old people that love to covet too.
Yeah. I wish I could covet like my neighbor does, though.
But it's...
Thank you. Appreciate that. You got it. All right.
Nobody ever covets anything of mine.
I just wish I could covet like my neighbor covets. Man. Plus, that's a cool lawnmower he has. But it's, when you look at it and you pare it down to really, jealousy, envy.
Mm-hmm. As we've said, is
because I would say
those are the problems.
Admiration is one thing, right? Where you go, okay, that guy is doing something right. And I remember as a kid thinking, I wonder how he did that, right? I wonder how he got from where he was as a child to where he is today. I still wonder that with like billionaires, right? You see these billionaires. Elon Musk isn't the age of Warren Buffett. But I mean, even Warren Buffett wasn't, he's been a billionaire for many, many years. And I'm thinking to myself, and it's not jealousy or envy. It's, wow, okay, what steps did they make along the way? Now, in the tech sector with Elon Musk, totally different brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was just reading about the chip implants and everything else and the amazing feedback that they're getting from some of their first patients and that kind of thing. And it's just unbelievable technology. But you look at a Warren Buffett, it's easier to understand. Buy low, sell high, right? Buy it as a certain thing at a certain level and then sell it for a profit. And then don't spend like crazy and those kind of things. But I've always been interested in wow, what did they do? Where did they go to learn this or that? You have, I think a lot of people learn that way.
But curiosity is not envy or jealousy.
And neither is admiration.
Right.
Yeah,
neither is admiration.
When you respect people's work, I think it's just the opposite.
Well,
when the jealousy and envy comes in, because you start hearing things like, well, they shouldn't have that. It's not fair that they have that, and I don't have that. That's a very different.
Well, but what
thing.
I find interesting, the whole socialist push today is based on that.
Yeah.
Socialism, communism is based on the fact that, the delusion that everybody should be, the nirvana, everybody should be the same.
Yeah.
But with that being so popular, what I find interesting, and I just started thinking about this since he said that, the whole covet thing, and we've talked about jealousy, we've talked about envy before, and I started thinking back. I don't think, and I don't know where it came from, I don't believe I've ever been a bit jealous or envious in my life. Not once.
Mm-hmm.
And I was starting thinking, I go, have you ever been, go back, think about it, even as a child. I'm like, no, I don't. I know as an adult, maybe there was some time as a child I was, or, if I don't know, a mom gave my older brother a popsicle and I didn't, not that I remember anything like that happening. If they got something I did, maybe as a child, but as an adult, I don't think I've ever felt any twinge of jealousy or envy of anybody. And maybe it's because I view that as a wasted emotion.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't serve me at all.
It doesn't get me anywhere.
It doesn't serve anyone.
So maybe I did get that from my parents, but I don't remember. Maybe they told me. I don't remember that specifically where that was pounded in, even though I understood the covet part of the 10 Commandments when I was taught that in Catholicism, in Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
But and so you figure, okay, that's a temptation, but that's never been a temptation for me.
Well, because
never been a temptation to
be
jealous or envious of anyone.
There's zero chance of that resulting in anything that benefits you.
Well, then I have a great deal of curiosity. How does that get ingrained into people? It has to be the environment. It has to be, you're taught that over and over again, and it has to start at a very young age.
Well, it is. I think it is. I agree. I think it's a learned behavior, but I think that behavior, that the teaching of it requires the teacher to tell the young person, that it's wrong, that it starts with some kind of fault, that having whatever it might be or achieving whatever it might be is wrong in the first place. Because it goes beyond, again, even, I guess you could say admiration, that kind of thing. It goes far beyond. It's based in it's not just admiration or that you want something, that you desire something, it starts with the thought that that person shouldn't have it
Right.
because I want it, or because I don't have it, it's wrong that they have it. And that's the fault.
Well, maybe it came from, I'm trying to, because I'm really doing a deep dive here into my childhood. Maybe it was my parents saying, nothing is fair in life, so don't think it is. Just worry about what you're doing to make yourself a better person.
Yeah.
And so if that's thrown at you, life is not fair. I heard that my entire life.
Yeah.
And I didn't take that as a negative. Like when they said life isn't fair, I didn't say, well, why not? Why can't I have what they have?
Well, I think, my father told me at 18, you should probably stay in radio and keep your expectations low. I thought at the time
Keep your
that he was
expectations low.
saying something to me that would benefit. And I went, oh, no, he's right. I'll just keep, I'll just stay over here in my corner. He was probably trying to motivate me, but it's a foreign thought to me. I had a liberal friend who was, at that time, his wife had retired. He worked from home. They were moving out of town. They were leaving. They were selling their home. And he wasn't sure it would sell. It wasn't on the market for 48 hours. And when they took it, they took the sign out from in front of the house. There was a bidding war on it. I said, man, I'm so happy for you. This is so great for you, because I knew it was going to facilitate her retirement, but a better life for them. And it was the best scenario that they could possibly hope for in that moment. And I just remember just being overjoyed for him. And I think he was surprised by that. I don't know. But I just, given the look on his face when I was just smiling. I was clapping and the whole thing. I was truly celebrating.
Well, I'm like you.
When I heard it.
I'm just like you. I can look at my friends when they've had success. When I didn't have success, I never measured myself against them. I was just incredibly happy for them. In fact, in my life, I think I've probably been more happy when I see the joy of someone who has accomplished something and done something which has brought great rewards to them. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
I'm so happy however that happened, I view it, when I say what I'm saying, I don't say it as virtue signaling. I say that I've received a gift because I don't have that type of burden. I think it's a terrible burden to be a person who is jealous and envious.
Because I have to believe it keeps you from accomplishing what your potential is.
Yeah, I don't want that weight on me.
Yeah. If that's where I'm going to, mentally, if that's where I'm going to be, I'm probably never going to come out of that. I'm always going to look around me and compare, and I just don't think that's a healthy approach.
So your dad told you at 18.
Mm-hmm.
You know when my dad told me? Mm-hmm. You know when I got the approval from
By the way, that was just a joke. It wasn't at 18.
Oh, it wasn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
All right,
it was
okay.
just a joke to
because I know
a line to facilitate the joke.
I know when it was. I know the month that it was for me.
At 18, he was telling me military and law enforcement.
Okay.
So,
and for me, I know the month and the year.
Hmm.
I was 37.
Yeah.
37. And I was on the air. I was working at our great affiliate, WLS, in Chicago.
Hmm.
And he had a steel conference, and he came to visit me. And he had always told me, even at that point, a couple of days before, come on, there are jobs open in engineering. You can make a ton of money, whatever. And then he came in and sat in, watched me do the show for about 2 hours. We were driving back to my apartment. He looked at me and said, you need to stay in this business.
Yeah.
And I never thought, ever, that I would need my father's approval. And when I got it, it was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, right.
For all
well,
of our
I think when
disagreement.
my dad realized that it was a career, which was about 29 years ago when I was hired at WBAP, which was the station he was listening to. My first day in radio, he picked me up. My car was in the shop. He picked me up late that evening. I was listening to Hal J. and Dick Siegel, who back then did split shifts. They did mornings and afternoons.
Yeah. Hal was like 6 years old at that time.
Exactly. Yeah. He was in school himself. And he said, those guys, that's big time. They have a career. But that was WBAP was his station. And, and he was basically trying to guide me. I wasn't going to college. It was already the fall. And so, he, again, said maybe military, maybe law enforcement, that kind of thing, get some schooling in and that kind of thing. But when I brought him a WBAP coffee cup, that was one of those things. And now, again, every time I go to see him, we have our own little talk show in his living room.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And, but, I don't remember ever being envious or jealous of anyone. I just don't think again, it doesn't benefit me. No. It really doesn't.
It's just really interesting because you and I've always been amazed because we didn't know each other really before we started working. I knew of you and you knew of me, but I didn't know you.
Right.
And I'm just amazed that you grew up so much on the southern border. I grew up on the northern border.
Yeah.
And it's not that we just have a lot of the same opinions. It's that we process thoughts the same way.
Our dads are a lot alike. Your dad is an engineer. My dad, a seasoned investigator.
Yeah.
So that's the same kind of mind,
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Production forecasts from USDA have been released this month for several crops, not just corn, soybeans, and cotton. Anthony Prilliman of the National Agricultural Statistics Service says take, for instance, sorghum.
Production is forecast to be up 2.7% compared to the previous forecast and up 17% from last season.
As for notable southern crops,
peanut production at nearly 7.4 billion bushels is up 2.1% from August and up 14.7% from last year. If realized, this would represent a record high production for the U.S. Rice production is forecast to be up slightly from the August forecast, but 6% below what was produced last season.
Increased production forecasts were also revealed for this year's crops of various legumes.
Chickpea production is forecast to be 31.9% higher than last year. Looking at dry edible peas, production is forecast to be up 23.4% compared to last season. Lentil production up 22.5% in 2024.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Who thought the sanity would ever come from John Federman, Senator Federman?
Yeah.
We'll have the details coming up following the top of the hour. And coming up, some of the interesting polling out there, why we have the problems that we have here, and to show that the reason the Democrats have a problem is because they were actually successful in communicating their message. We'll explain further coming up next.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And I'm Gary McNamara along with Eric Harley. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right. The voice of sanity from the Democrats, Senator John Federman. Here he is on Fox News.
Don't compare him to anyone. And if you do, then you will incite somebody to say, well, now I feel like I have to stop that and take them out. People have seemed to have forgotten that the president took a shot to the head. And can you imagine if that shot would have gone the way Charlie Kirk's one, and what kind of condition our nation would be in? This is such a dangerous time right now. And now why? You don't need this an opportunity to share your opinions on it. Just, again, it's appalling, and allow folks enough space to grieve. The man hasn't even been buried yet. And it's like, that's why we wanted to have a conversation, that we have to find a way to work together.
You want to know what the polls have said. This is a problem on the other side.
Yeah.
ABC News poll. 87% of Democrats view Trump as a fascist.
Well,
there's zero evidence that he is. NPR, 47% of Democrats say the rise of fascism is their top political concern. And then the Rutgers poll that we had talked about, the study that was done at Rutgers, 55% of Americans on the left believe assassinating Trump would be at least somewhat justified.
Wow.
And I don't know where to go with that. How do you reasonably discuss? You know, one of the things is what you hear from the left is we need to sit down. We need to discuss. You know, we can't. It's both sides. It's both sides. Yet the person who was assassinated, who was murdered, was exactly that type of person. He was successful.
In modern times, one of the most successful.
Yes,
doing it.
Absolutely. Of sitting down on college campuses that you want autocratic rule, where you've got 95% plus of the professors on college campuses that are liberal, where no discussion is allowed, where over the years we have seen the most racism, the most misogyny with the radical transgender movement, and the racism, the safe spaces. Remember the protest at the University of Missouri?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the Carrot Top professor and everything that happened there? And the push for segregation?
Yeah.
The push for safe places from whites. You know, we had talked about earlier, Eric and I think it was our second hour, and I think it was a really interesting conversation that we had. It wasn't planned, but we just talked about why the Democrats are in the position that they are. One of the things, as we have said, I believe the major reason is that we live in a society where lying is accepted, and it's really accepted in politics. It's not accepted when it comes to dealing with the business. If you deal with the business and someone lies, we sue the daylights out of them. We cannot have lying. We will sue. If you're in business, you can't lie. If you're in politics, we accept all sorts of lies.
Yeah.
The problem the Democrats have, they lie about things that are self-evident. Where it's self-evident, and we went through list by list by list by list the things that are self-evident. But some of the other things that are self-evident that we didn't mention, for example, we brought up the radical transgender movement and the misogyny of that, and the fact that when you start telling people that a man can be a girl because the man says so, nobody really buys that. Nobody does, but they're trying to sell it. The other thing is the whole critical race theory.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the fact itself, most people look at it and they go, okay, I can't say anything, but it's self-evident because I'm not a racist. And I deal with people This is what they say to themselves. I deal with people of all ethnicities, and we all get along, and I don't have any hate in my heart. I have no bigotry, yet I'm told that I do. And I'm told through critical race theory that it's cultural to the point of being in my DNA, and all society must be constructed to protect everybody from me because of my skin color.
Yeah.
Well, it's self-evident. People don't buy that. The political world buys that. And how many times has this been said? We said it a long time ago. And it's been repeated many times. People all get along. The racism and the division, on a one-to-one basis, the vast majority of people get along. It's only in the political arena where you see this incredible hatred for different people.
Well, and that's the thing when Fetterman says we need to sit down and find a way to work together. Well,
that's what he was doing.
That's what Charlie was doing. That's the essence of what Charlie did. That was his mission statement. And look at the response. What needs to happen, and I have zero confidence that it will, is that the Democratic Party needs to shed itself and remove itself from the radicals. But again, I have zero confidence. I don't think that will happen in my lifetime. I think something will change. I can't measure it, but I think it stands to reason that you'll see a number of Democrats, again, I can't measure it, that will say, rank and file, that will say, I can't support this insanity. I may not vote for the right, but I may stay home.
I think it has changed. Look, we have the ebbs and flows in our society, and I look back at a benchmark of what I view was the time in my time in the media as the most concerning, and that would have been 2020 and 2021. What you saw happening in that time, everything from COVID to the lies of Black Lives Matter, to you better get aboard. And the lies were spread and accepted by all the sports leagues, by all the vast majority of major businesses and a significant portion of the media. You get aboard on this lie, or your livelihood can be threatened. Remember, there were people that were fired. I forgot the one sportscaster that was fired for tweeting "All Lives Matter." Think about that.
Yeah.
Fired. All lives matter. That the blue, as we called it, the blue wall of intimidation permeated every segment of our society like I have never seen before, not only in my media career, but in my entire life. I'd never seen anything like that.
It's been going on for far too long. When you saw the person on the city council, when she said, I have to vote against this because the mob will come after me. Her own party. These people know where I live. This is not something that is a secret on the left. It's a tactic.
Now, I don't know. Some people who are older than me, if there's any left, might say that the McCarthy hearings and that culture in our society was just as scary. And it might have been. I don't know. If I was in the media at that point, it would have been interesting to see what that was. But in my lifetime, McCarthy hearings were in 54, and the lead up to that was in the early 50s. So, but in my life, have never seen anything like that. It just permeated all throughout institutions, government institutions, almost across the board, even seeped into where I saw a lot of Republicans afraid to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We didn't. We never stopped here in the show.
No.
Conservative talk radio stayed strong during that time. It was the one segment where it was almost absolute rejection of the BS that was going on at that time.
Right. I'm not going to be intimidated into changing my convictions.
No.
That's never going to happen.
Not going to endorse a lie, as happened then. So I do see a drastic improvement, and Charlie Kirk is responsible for that for a significant number of young people. I mean, I forgot what college it was at yesterday. Hundreds upon hundreds, maybe thousands of kids publicly praying at a college.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't remember the last time I've seen that outside of maybe a religious institution.
Right.
So there's a lot of optimism. And because the left feels so free, they've been in the bubble so long, they just believe that everybody is in that bubble.
They think that they're right. They think they're heroes. That's why some of them are surprised they're getting fired by their employers when they react in such radical ways.
And it's what we want in a free society. We want to know what they're thinking.
Yes.
And we're finding out what they're thinking. They feel free to tell us what they're thinking. And so now we know. There is no, well, nobody's really like that. We can't say that.
Right.
Well, you guys are exaggerating. No, we're not.
Right.
Here's what they said. And everybody has a camera phone.
Yep.
So it's on video.
I wonder how long it's going to be before Colbert has Jimmy Kimmel on.
I like that. That's
You know, this is the hill they want to die on.
well, is Colbert on tonight?
Well, I think so, right? Are they? Jim Carafano, Heritage Foundation. I'm really looking forward to the American left defending Antifa after President Trump deemed them a terrorist organization.
Would that be next? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. You know, these are the hills they want to die on. This is who they are. This is how they think. This is why free speech is so important. You know, again, to Senator Federman or any Democrat saying, you know, we've got to find a way to work together. The radical left won't let you do that. So now what?
For Dick Durbin to come out and say, Dick Durbin, I know he's trying to play the both sides, but he still came out and said Democrats need to stop calling Trump a Nazi.
Right.
He said it.
Right.
You know the pressure's on.
Yeah.
Remember, because
I think we're seeing that right now. In recent years, this is unprecedented.
Yeah.
Because everyone should right now have their eyes opened in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. This is absolutely unacceptable.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. The one thing, and you and I have been talking about this for the last couple of months, is the Democrats will jump on one thing, and then we always wonder, how long will this last? And we know they don't have a good argument because the positions they're taking are just radical. And many times, I guess, who said it earlier that, well, Kimmel, that's pretty stupid. Oh, it was Shermichael Singleton. So he goes, That's just really stupid. It's like
Yeah.
he didn't even say shocking. He goes, it's really stupid. And so you look at something like the Jimmy Kimmel thing, and you're like, all right, how long will they milk this for? A day? 2 days? Will this be into next week? And then what's the next thing? Which is when you said, are they now going to come out as pro-Antifa?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
what's the next thing? Because anything that Trump throws out there, they immediately will react to.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I'm looking for Scott Jennings' head to blow up next week if they start saying, Antifa is against fascism. How could you possibly disagree with
Mostly
them?
peaceful protesters.
Yes.
That's all they are. Yeah.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.